Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third episode of the Hydrated Gamers podcast. I'm very happy to have a couple of Lord of the Rings online content creators joining me here today. Just a quick FYI, this podcast is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. We are taking the time out of our day to talk about the games we love playing in our free time. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Thank you so much, Brightlife Gaming and Weird Gaming Adventure, for joining me on this Lord of the Rings podcast. How are we feeling today?
So underdressed now, man. So underdressed.
Holy moly. So, first of all, can somebody explain to me what a do actually means? So, yeah, 'cause if I'm being bid a do, like, it could be anything, and I want to know.
I believe with a do is with anything whatsoever. I think the origin of the word itself comes from Shakespeare text. Correct me if I'm wrong. But in terms of a do, you can make your mind up. Is this second breakfast? Is this Hobbit's feet? A do can be whatever your mind pleases. For those who are watching on YouTube, I told both of our guests that I had a quick surprise for them. This is the first time they're seeing me in this very ridiculous outfit. I don't know how long I'll be able to wear it the whole stream, but guys, thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm very happy to finally talk about a different MMORPG. But for those watching, I think a quick introduction as to who you are, what kind of games you're recently playing, is a great way to start the podcast. So, Brightlife Gaming, let's brighten up the podcast with you today. Give us a little bit more about you.
What is up, everybody? My name is Brightlife. Fancy shirt. That's my thing on my channel. And man, I'm excited to be here with you guys today. Thank you so much. I am a content creator. Just been doing it now for around 3 months. I've been really enjoying it. I've done a lot of Lord of the Rings online stuff, but my goal is to just be a positive influence in the MMO game sphere. Right before I started my channel, I'd been watching some content around a game that I wanted to play or that I had played and I'd really enjoyed playing. And I felt really bad about playing the game after hearing the content creation. It was just all very negative. And so I just went, hey, what if I was a positive, happy voice in this space that made you feel good about the games that you played and all that stuff. So that's kind of what I do. So I've been in Lord of the Rings Online. I've dabbled a little bit in SWTOR and World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy and the whole nine. So I look forward to just talking about those games, but that's me.
Awesome to hear. I actually listened to a couple of your videos actually today. I always have videos up when I'm washing dishes, when I'm working, like the whole 9 yards. And every single time your video ends, I feel so good about myself. You're always like, you are valued, you are loved, like, hope you have a great day. And I'm like, wow, this really brings a smile to my face. So props to you for doing that, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that too, man.
Weird Gaming. Tell us about...
Well, first of all, I'm really disappointed because I came in here knowing that he was not going to be wearing a fancy shirt, knowing that he was going to wear the typical shirt that he says, hello, this is my fancy shirt. I was going to say, first of all, not a fancy shirt, but you know what? That's doing good. I really like the vest situation. You got the whole California hat, vest, fancy. I'm digging it. Dig the guitars in the back, everything. We were supposed to have my friend Manapots on the show tonight. He will be watching this, so I'm gotta say, we are Facebook friends. I'm watching you. So if you don't actually, if you're doing something else like a little fun, I'm gonna know. But you're looking really good. I like the shaven thing. It's clean, it's fresh. Miss you, Manapots. Gandalf. I like it. Cosplay. Hey, that's what LOTRO is all about. If you're not a cosplayer and if you play LOTRO, you're cosplaying without even knowing.
Exactly.
So you're a role player. Brightlife, hey, looking good, man.
Thanks,
if I was 10 years younger and gay, I'd be giving you a call. What are we're talking LOTRO?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's up, everybody?
I gotta go, you guys.
I'm actually curious. Weird gaming, like with Lord of the Rings. I know your channel. You're always covering various different games and other MMORPGs. But when you're jumping into Lord of the Rings, maybe within the past week, what kind of class are you playing in the game currently?
Oh, so the last week, well, for the last 3 weeks, I have been playing Brawler. Top drawer. I mean, it is so much fun, dude. Like, I've never played a Brawler before, and anytime you play a class in Lord of the Rings, it's a huge investment. Like, it's time. You play 3 weeks. I played 3 weeks, and I'm very, very casual. I'm a casual game player. I think I'm level like 31, 32, something like that. And Brawler. That's the answer.
Nice.
It is bar none the most fun class that's out there. And when I say bar none, I'm not talking about like the silly like candy bar type of thing, because that tastes, I'm talking Butterfinger.
Ooh.
Top class, like top of the scale type of gaming. So yeah.
So
Brawler.
real quick, what makes Brawler so fun? Because I've heard so many people say it's great. I've only played one class, so I want to like, what makes it so much fun? Is it the punching animations? Is it the newer class? What's the deal?
Look at this guy. He comes on your show and he starts hosting.
No,
I'm just asking questions.
So good. I love it. No, it's so good. Keep it up. It's a great question as well.
He comes on the Lotro scene, steals all of my views,
No.
and now he's just taking your show away from him. No, I'm just kidding. Brawler, yeah. You know what? I love the build up. Did you say build up? Because that's it. I don't remember what it's called. Is it fervor or something that you build up and then you start smacking? The animations on there are so much fun. The thing I love about a game is if you can click on a button and you enjoy what you see after that, you got to click those buttons. You're going to have a good time. And they rake, dude. They just mow people over. And so, yeah, if you like hitting people and killing them with 2 hits, then Brawler's it for you.
So when you're playing a Brawler, what race are you playing? Like, are you like punching people's ankles as a hobbit, or what race are you playing?
Absolutely. So when I decided to choose like who I was going to be punching people in the throats with, I'm like, I want to be able to jump to punch them in the throat. If somebody's going to die, I want them to be standing over their corpse and be like, oh, as they lay dying, like that's a hobbit. That's a hobbit that just like bludgeoned me to death.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks ridiculous and it's so great. It's weird.
That's awesome. I love to hear. Brightlife, you said you've only played one class. I'm a bit surprised. Which class is this?
So I came back to the game from like a 15-year break. I used to play a elf hunter, because I was 13 and
Nice.
Legolas, kind of thing. And so I used to like lead the raid kind of thing. Like I was big time. I was big time on my server. And then my parents finally let me play World of Warcraft because it had the word war in it, and like when you're like a sheltered kid, firstborn, war is enough to say no to a video game. So eventually they finally let me play, 14 years old. And I played a hunter. Now I came back, and because when I used to play, I played every class and just tried them out a little bit. And I knew how to lead the raids with those classes. Essentially, I didn't necessarily play a lore master to highest, but I knew what they could do because I had to tell them what to do in the raid. I came back and wanted to try one of the new classes, and I saw the Warden, and I really, really thought that was a cool one. I'm a big Lord of the Rings nerd. I've got the swords, I've got my books, like I've got the whole nine going on. And Wardens are a really cool class because, like, lore-wise, when you think about Aragorn, his Rangers of the Dunedain kind of thing, we'll wax eloquent into the lore, by the way. I'm sorry for how long this goes on.
Nope.
But we often think of like the bow and arrow, especially when we think about his fellow Rangers, like maybe a sword, maybe a bow. But the reality is in the book, they're talked about having spears and shields quite often. And the Warden is actually kind of supposed to represent that, in my mind. They're supposed to represent that other side of the Rangers that we don't see very much in the movies or depicted. And so I thought, hey, let's try it out. They're really fast. They wear medium armor, and they're a lot of fun. They've got a really cool mechanic called the Gambit system. And now that I've been doing content creation, I think you guys know this, but you really start to look at a game with a lot more critical eye when you play that kind of stuff. And I was really going into this trying to think, okay, what is LOTRO like in 2022? Is it fun for the guy that's gone and played World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, SWTOR, all of the big ones, right? Guild Wars 2 being one of my favorites. And came back, and the Gambit system is such a cool, unique mechanic. It's almost a fighting game mechanic where you use a little 5-button system to actually build up combos for your guy that you then can manually execute. So, you do attack 1, attack 2, you can execute it for a little bit of damage, but if you build up a 5-point combo, you can then, of course, do a lot more damage, more healing.
Wow.
And it was just a really cool class. Very, very unique, very interesting. I'd sell it on the Warden all day long. And I'm just like weird. When I thought of how ridiculous would it be to be the guy just stabbing the ankles, I 100% went Hobbit right away, had to do it. And so it was fun. I literally started my first stream ever on Twitch as a level 1 Warden. And it was it was an absolute blast. So I've loved the class, and I've been really blown away by how good that reflects on Lord of the Rings Online. They're willing to actually create a more unique class. It's not just ranged DPS. It's not just champion. It's something unique and different, which I think is really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. And now I'm actually sold to try out a Warden, which is really cool.
Get in there, man.
I thought for this podcast, it only made sense to dress up as this character because I have played the game back in 2010. I looked up how old my account is. I made it to level 31 captain. I was so proud back in the day, but I realized I a captain. So I was definitely...
That's work.
It is work. I was shouting at bears, and most of the time my friends weren't on, so I was definitely screaming trying to get all that XP. But soon I ended up, you jump to other MMORPGs that are out there. Once Guild Wars 2 launched, I was really sucked into that. Of course, I've tried out Star Wars, New World. I'm always going back into RuneScape every now and then. Classic WoW came out. That was great to play for a little bit. But I actually picked up The Hobbit. My older brother said, you got to read The Hobbit. It's one of the best books ever written. So I made it a lot of reading this book back in the day, but I only made it to where they get to the mountain. They're about to confront Smaug, and I dropped the book. So I went through, read it from start to finish. I just finished it, and I was in such a Lord of the Rings mood, I'm like, I kind of want to watch the movies now. Now I want to order all the books, and I want to start reading, all the books now. I'm definitely in for it. So I'm already a chapter into Fellowship. I'm super excited. And I thought, okay, it's time to start playing Lord of the Rings Online again. But I didn't want to jump on my captain anymore. I thought, can I make a Gandalf? Can I replicate a Gandalf as close as I can within the game? And sure enough, that's what I went for. I'm a level 26 lore master currently.
There you go.
I don't know if my name violates the guidelines because it's impersonating a Tolkien character, but nonetheless, he's called Gandalf with ELF at the end or PH or something. So I'm very happy to be running around. He looks like Gandalf. You'll see I'll post a video tomorrow, and the character is in this video. So I was so sucked into Lord of the Rings, and I saw so much of your guys' content online. I thought, I would love to sit down and talk with you guys more about the game. The game is old. It's aging. It's still a very beautiful game. But I'm curious, why do you guys think people are jumping back into Lord of the Rings Online?
Well, first of all, hold on. Let me just. I know you gave this a question, so let me scoop back and say congratulations on actually completing the book, because you were hurting my OCD when you said you started the book and did not complete. So. Second of all, in regards to the Gandalf, I think you're safe. I don't think that we have enough customer service representatives out there to drown you, my friend. So you're safe for a little while.
Nice.
Jumping back. Okay. You mind if I go first, Brightlife?
Of course.
Okay. A lot of it has to do, well, first of all, I think ratio-based, we're not all there. We're not there. It used to be for a while that LOTRO was the second most populated game back in 2008 or something. MMORPG, second to World of Warcraft. So we're definitely not back. But there is, to your point, people coming back. Mm-hmm. A lot of that has to do with Blizzard. A lot of that has to do with content creators. And I'm not talking about people like me or anything. I'm talking about the big boys, the Osmongols, the Dropstrife Hastes, who have been, I'll just say, bludgeoning Blizzard, and people follow. Mm-hmm. They the content creators hold legitimate power in this industry. And if you are a game dev, if you are a game creator, you would do well to consider that right from the get-go. For instance, I think New World had a good idea at that. You know, they gave the devs a lot of, or not the devs, they gave the creators a lot of power up front. Marketing is key. So there is that. And in regards to why Lotro, I really, really don't know. It's different. It's different. I'm not going to try and say, you know, that it's better than a lot of the other games. But if that's what you like, if you like the lore, if you like games that are not grindy, if you want to just maybe just take a breath from some of those grindy games, you can't find a better experience, a better story than Lord of the Rings Online. And once you go, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. But if you play it, and if you play it for a little bit, you're going to stick around for quite a while. So that is my roundabout response to your answer. Not an answer, but my response.
That's a good one. I think you know, one thing that's interesting, as I come to content creation, I love looking at that big picture of the MMO scene, just like Weird talked about. And one thing is, of course, the World of Warcraft Classic launch was incredibly massive. 1.2 million people watched on Twitch that night. I think 800,000 of them watched Asmongold or something like that. Crazy. Good for him, right? But but I was one of them. I loved it. And the crazy thing was Blizzard, interestingly enough, didn't necessarily capitalize on that quite as much as they could have, I don't think. I think that there was this crazy, insatiable hunger for that old school MMO that's sitting and like slowly leveling up, enjoying the story, immersing yourself in the world. And a lot of our MMOs have moved away from those things in lieu of a lot more easy convenience features, leveling extremely quickly to end game, focusing all of your efforts on end game even. And I think that what that does is that creates a vacuum in the market for an MMO that actually fulfills those desires. And so Classic did that for a while, but eventually you're playing a game that you've already played through before. And I think that only has so much life to it. Lord of the Rings Online has this really interesting space that I've found, at least as someone who is a fan of the old school MMO, that allows you to just, like Weird said, sit back, take a breath, and just enjoy the leveling experience. Like, to me, as a guy that has done the min-max hardcore WoW scene and still love, you know, running the Mythic Plus as I was running it with my stream the other night, it was a really fascinating thing to come into this game, play for legitimately now, I think 3 months or so, and be level 60 out of 140. Like, and I'm a pretty casual guy. You can go a lot faster than I am, but I'm a gamer dad. I'm kind of probably the market age, you know, from, you know, 25 to 45-ish. And that's how slow we're going to play this game. And there's a lot of excitement around that in my mind. So I think there's a market for it, one. And we could talk about that. But the other thing has been this big 15th anniversary that just came out. That was the reason I came back personally. And it's, as I posted videos, that's why other people have said, yeah, I saw the 15th anniversary and wanted to come back to it, wanted to give the game a try. And what Lotro did that was really, really important was before, because I think probably all of us here, I'm sure, have like logged into Lotro. If we stopped a couple of years ago, you log in for a day, you check it out, and then you leave. Yeah. The one reason that I left was because all of the content was all stuck behind paywall, like everything. I knew that if I was going to get to max level, I think I did the calculation one time, I was going to have to spend somewhere in the neighborhood of $250 probably. What? Because I'd have to get the newest expansion for 40. I'd have to get, you know, all essentially 8 for like $20 a piece or something like that. And then you'd have to buy quest packs. It was a lot of money. Wow. And you go, it's just not really worth it. And so what they did with the 15th anniversary that I thought was really smart was they released all of the content up to the most recent one for people that subscribe, that $15 a month. And then they released all the way up to like Helm's Deep, which is like 4 back from where we're at right now, which lets you go through Rohan, see Gondor. So really get to see the world that we all fell in love with the movies, all for free. You can play the whole, all the way through for free, which is incredible. And that was the biggest PR jump. Did a big video on other players kind of leaving MMOs, where Lord of the Rings Online actually gained a lot of players in that moment. And it was all around the 15th anniversary. And what's cool is a lot of those players have stuck around, which is really cool as well. And then I think there is this hype around this Amazon show coming out. So sorry, super long question, super long answer. But those are, I think, the 15th anniversary, really removing their own barriers to their own success, and then really just being a market niche for some people that love Lord of the Rings and like the old school MMO, and then of course Amazon show coming out soon.
No need to apologize for any answers or remarks. I think these are all fantastic ideas to bring up. And I feel like you guys have been playing the game way longer than I have, per se. But I think, yeah, there is a lot of hype with Lord of the Rings. Like, you brought up this Amazon show. It's on everyone's radar, actually, at least within the friends group and the family that I have who enjoy watching Lord of the Rings. So, for the new people who maybe have an interest in the game, you mentioned for the 15th anniversary that Standing Stone, or back when I played, it was Turbine. So I was actually a bit confused when I launched the game. Can we talk a little bit more about how far can a new player level up? Like, is there a certain level they can get to? What's the max level? And kind of the story as to how it went from Turbine to Standing Stone games. Because I'm going to be honest, I really don't know. I'm sure I could research and find out. But I thought it's a good question to ask you guys.
Well, I played from 2007 until 2012. I didn't play steady. I played probably to 2010 pretty steady, but then 2012. So when I came back, I came back when it had changed hands again to, what is it, EG7 or something like that. Like, I know Standing Stone's still controlling everything, but so it was a little bit of a shock, and a good thing too, because Turbine they were stagnant in the market period. And so it's good for that. How far can they go? Like right now, geez, I don't really know. Was it like 120 or something like that? You could get up to 120 or something.
For free, it's 100. Yeah, 100 or 110 because you get through Helm's Deep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you got to remember too, 100. That's legitimate gameplay. That is a lot of time. And so that is a whole game right there. I mean, and by the time, I'm sure every single year they always have some sort of promotional packs or something where you toss them 15 or something and get the rest of the stuff cheaper or something. So
yeah. And what's interesting is, so one of the things that I really, again, critical eye, you content create, as I came back to the game, I was like, as a Lord of the Rings fan, this game, biggest selling point to me is its world building. Its music is world class. In fact, when it launched, it actually won a Gamer Award for the music. Like, it's phenomenal music. Cool. The storytelling is phenomenal. And just this, they take care of Tolkien's world so much. Like, even in the little Easter eggs of the game, they just take care of it. And, if you look up at the stars in the sky in LOTRO, there's actually like some of the constellations were some of the ones that Tolkien himself drew as like Earendil's star and things like that, which is like blows your mind. You're like, who's gonna know that? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Seriously, I didn't either. And I had this this guy, his name is Mai, and he came on and he's been playing for forever. And he's like, oh yeah, look up at the sky. And then if you look down into the mirror outside of Moria, which is where King Durin, the first big dwarf king, actually saw a crown of stars around his head. Kind of anointed himself as king. Frodo goes down there with Gimli in the Lord of the Rings, which you'll read later. If in the daytime, if you look down to the mirror, there are stars reflected on the water. So it's just cool stuff like that allows you to like. Know that Lord of the Rings has been taken care of. Now that was by Turbine, and so one of my big things to my crew when I was watching to my squad that watched on Twitch, I said, guys, I'm a little nervous that we're going to get to the EG7 era and the Standing Stone era, and suddenly it's just going to be kind of any other BS MMO that's just trying to make a crap ton of money off of you. And they said actually a lot of the designers and developers from Turbine, when EG7 there's this massive parent company, when they came and took over the project, they essentially renamed it Standing Stone Games, and a lot of the same guys were able to stay on as creative leads. So far in my playthrough, that's been kind of the same thing. It just takes care of Tolkien's lore, which is a really cool thing for the game.
That's awesome to hear. I feel like there's a lot of love that gets poured into the game, and you can just tell. I mean, at least me, I'm going through like Bree. Now I'm currently in the Lone Lands. The game has like such a cool dynamic, like weather system, day and night. I did look up at the stars and I saw some constellations. I'm like, that's not the Big Dipper, but these stars are a bit brighter than the normal ones here. But okay, This is interesting. So,
sorry.
No,
just even Just to speak to how good it is, and Weird, I don't know if you'd agree with this as well, but like on my channel, when we stream or when we talk about anything related to Rings of Power, which is the new Amazon series, the number one complaint is, are they going to take care of Tolkien's lore? And you hear this all over the place, man. There's hate channels about it, and there's all sorts of stuff going out about it. You'll never hear that about Lord of the Rings Online, which I think will speak to how good it is with taking care of the lore. And if you're going to do a passion project for people that are passionate about the professor, like, you know, I am, like Weird is, like a lot of these wonderful fans are, you don't see a lot of people saying, man, I just wish that LOTRO would take care of the lore better, because it's just the best one out there for that, which is really cool. What do you think, Weird? Do you think I'm on the right track with that?
Oh, 100%. When you're playing LOTRO, you know that you're getting the complete package that the professor. I love that expression, by the way. I just love it. When I die, I want people to say, that weirdo. I want to be referred to as, like, not by Joshua Cleveland, not by my name, but that, you know, cool, you know, I want a good title, except weirdo in a good way, or something. Now, you can never completely follow the lore 100% or something. You just can't. There's no way to create this massive type of game, and this is a true sandbox game. LOTRO is the epitome of a sandbox game. Mm-hmm. You can't have everything that's to exactly the way it is. So a lot of people are concerned, are they going to change because Amazon has created this template of, you know, I'm not going to get into like the political aspects or anything into all that, but they've proven, there's a proven track record here. They have built a clientele. They have built a customer base off of that, and it's passionate and it's rabid. They won't change it to an extreme or anything like that. Is there something that the show Rings of Power may inspire them to do? Well, sure. Will I watch Rings of Power? Heck yeah. You know, like people may throw stones at me, but you know what? Like I'll watch the show, and if I don't like it, then I'll say I don't like it.
Sure thing.
At that point.
How dare you? How dare you not prejudge the show, Weird? What are you doing?
I know. I see all my subscribers like running because every LOTRO video is now just a platform for people to complain about Amazon and the Rings of Power, and so that's what I was just trying to say.
Yeah, I almost turned off my comments on my Rings of Power video, man. I was just like, this is getting a little too wild, man.
I actually had no idea there was this much hate towards the Amazon show. But let's talk about the obvious though. Like, the show is going to be launched, and there's going to be a wave of players coming to this game. Or I just imagine the show's out. Everyone's going to be in this Lord of the Rings vibe, just like I am when I was reading The Hobbit. And once I finished the book, I had to reinstall the game. Now, even players who don't know about the game, they're going to be fresh players. Maybe they've come from other MMORPGs like WoW. Is the game in a state where it can take care of new players, or do you guys think there's something that Standing Stone can work on to make sure that players get the best beginner experience?
I've got this one.
Go for it. Okay, get it.
Look at it's built to handle a lot of players. It's built to handle a lot of players, but as currently constituted, no. And in Spanish, no. and in urban English, hell no. Like, I'm not gonna wax poetic over that aspect of the game. They need help. They do. They need help. They need a bigger team. That's just where I'm at.
Yeah. Have you heard about the new have you heard about that new interview with Cordovan and Severlin and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've actually building a video. I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of that. There's
yeah.
always exciting stuff. You know, everything's always going to sound great, and I'm generally a very, very positive person. However, like, there's going to be a lot of things that people are trying to come in, and it's not wrong to want the game to succeed. And they know that there will be some issues. There has to be. Allegedly they've been hiring some people, but they're going to have players that come back. They're going to need to transfer their characters. That takes a long time. Just please, please, if anybody ends up watching this that has any level of power at Standing Stone Games at EG7, give us what we need to have a consistent server that's not going to bug out. And please make sure people, when they come, they stay.
Yeah.
Because they will come. Now, please help them to stay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's my soapbox.
I like your soapbox, man. You know, I was in the same boat as Weird for a while, and I think still there's a lot of parts of me that are nervous about it, right? I think that LOTRO would share my videos a lot on Twitter until I started talking about this. So, you know, I think I became a brand risk. We'll see. But I remember there was just this reality. I had a lot of European players come in, and the servers just. It's the reality of, you know, they built this game to compete with WoW. It came out during, I believe it came out during TBC, or maybe it was Classic. I can't remember. But do you remember which one it was? Weird or
2007 would be
which was
Burning
vanilla.
Crusade. Yeah, no, it would be Burning Crusade. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So it came out to compete with this game. So obviously, tons of resources, tons of, you know, just threw everything at the wall to make it stick. And it didn't necessarily stick with that many people. When you look at the older versions of the game, it wasn't very well. It was a good game, but it wasn't a phenomenally great game. I think it was serviceable. But when you're going up against the golden era of World of Warcraft, it's hard to compare. But so what happens is they add a lot more content, just more content and more content. And eventually the servers get so old and there's not as many people playing it. Then unfortunately what happens is you get a server that can lag a little bit. The lag is kind of one of those things that you hear about from a lot of people. It gets very bloated with lots of systems. And so, you know, you're trying to shoehorn 2022 systems into a 2007, you know, server space. And I'm not a technical wizard, but I'm assuming that has something to do with it. And then of course they removed their Europeans' actual physical server space and moved all of the physical servers to New York. So you have a lot of European players, especially where you are over in Germany, that love this game. But really when they get into group content, it can be really hard for them to play. And that was my biggest pushback to the crew, which was you have to do something about this because everybody can come into the game in September. But if the servers can't handle the influx of players, then it's great, but they're going to go to a game that doesn't bug out. You know, even now I'll go to Lord of the Rings Online and then I'll switch over to World of Warcraft and I'm like, it is a lot more smooth. You know, yeah. Lord of the Rings Online has a lot more heart, but this is a very, very good, I mean, it's just a great looking game when it comes to WoW. And so they have talked about it in a new recent developer call. It was a great Q&A where they talked about addressing some of this lag issue. Like, hey, we know exactly where it's at. We're really trying to get our team on top of it. Will they have it out by September? It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. They're bringing new stuff in, but I'm the only thing I'm worried about, right alongside with with Weird, is are they going to be able to handle the influx of players? Maybe. The 15th anniversary kind of slowed the servers down a bit. They talked a lot about lag. This is a worldwide Amazon release, man. This is a big show. And I think you're going to be a lot of people that go, oh man, okay. Either it's going to be a great show and people are going to want more Lord of the Rings, or it's going to be an absolutely garbage show and they're going to want the real Lord of the Rings. So I mean, it's either way you're going to get people coming back. So yeah, I'm optimistic about it. I'm hoping that they have their stuff under control, but I don't know.
So
go for it. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, well, yeah, I said some things that could be construed as negative regards. So I also want to express some of the positive things that they have done that will excite people to stick around. Now, we are, as modern gamers, we are programmed to PvP. You know, prior to recently, the MMORs were, it was bad. It was really bad. They opened things up, they cleaned it up, they fixed a lot of aspects. They made you want to actually PvP again. And that is a big thing that I believe we needed in the game in order to keep people to stick around. So that's good. I love in the Q&A they're talking about that, not just talking about it, they're saying specific things about graphic fixes. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's just fine. You know, it's still beautiful to me. It's got a special place in my heart, but it is nice for others who do want to see, you know, a user interface or a fix, graphics updates. So it's nice that they have that at least lined up, something that they could try to work on as well. big ups in that department.
True.
You mentioned during the 15th anniversary of the game that there was a little bit of lag happening in the server, which is interesting. One of the first things I looked on with videos is I wanted to find out what EU server I should join, because I want to join a populated server. I'm playing an MMORPG. I want to run into other players. And then I realized they said, well, this server has more players playing, but actually your ping's not going to matter. You're not going to be playing on EU side of things. And so I've been playing as a lore master. I have to cast spells, and there's a little bit of it's a little bit slow. And I'm coming from like Guild Wars 2 and even like New World. Like they have some really good servers. So it's a bit of a shame, but I like the game. I do. When you guys, both of you, have spoken that the game is chill. The game is like you can kind of like put your feet up and kind of enjoy yourself, which is something that I like, and I'm trying to take my time and really take in all the perspectives that happen. But I am just a little bit nervous, though, when you mentioned that the 15th anniversary, there was lag. Were the servers down at some point, or was it still playable?
No, it was definitely playable. It's just that lag that you experienced on that EU side was a little bit more hitting. I think that the game had a lot more stuttering at that time. Just a lot what people were saying. On the NA side, if you're playing it in North America, I have not found it game breaking yet. You'll hit some stutters, but I haven't found any crazy amount. I just know that as more people come in, it will get those stutters. Now, what I will, kind of like what Weird said, I think that the game is like 95% ready, 90% ready for new players. I think even some of the stuff they're talking about, we could talk about this. They're talking about a brand new 1 to 30 leveling experience that they want to input, which I think is brilliant to put that in, because it allows, players like you and me to come back to the game and have a new experience, and kind of the grindiest part to me of the game. But I do think that if they can fix that lag part, if they can actually, they said that they're not going to do servers in the EU because they said that won't really fix anything. I would disagree with that. I think every game has physical servers in the EU, in Asia, in Australia, because physical location matters with this stuff. But if they could actually it was a weird thing to hear him say that. He's like, no, I don't think that would actually change it. I was like, I'm pretty sure it'd change it. But I think that if they could get that last 10%, stabilizing the servers to deal with large populations of people, I really do think this game has a second life. And again, another thing that would be fun to talk about at some point would be like how fascinating it is that we're playing a 15-year-old MMO that still has an active user base that's not World of Warcraft. Because when MMOs go beyond 12 or 13 years, you either become WoW, or you become like EverQuest, and you just and it's so stinking niche that it's hard to get into a good community because everybody's at endgame. But Lord of the Rings Online has a really large player base that spans across all the levels, which is really fascinating to me. But anyway, all of that to say, they're almost there. They're so close.
One thing, if I can piggyback and tie to that, I truly believe that if you just want to play the game, if you want to casually play, obviously LOTRO they pull those type of people in. They pull people like myself or anything. The only time you'll really get hit from on the North American side of things is end-game content, or larger group type of content. It used to be in the Moors or something, like any type of PvMP type of thing, because so much stuff was going on. But I don't want to just push anybody away from those type of things. And that's so far down the line that maybe by the time you get there, 2 years from now, maybe they'll have it
fix it up,
for sure.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the private server thing going on? Sorry, I just jumped.
No. I know nothing about it, so please explain.
Come on. You get it, dude. Tell us, because you made a video on it. Weird.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, I did. I did, didn't I? Yeah.
Come on, man. I'm a big fan.
So. No, I mean, I play private servers. I love private servers. In this regard, I love the game's still hot. The game is still there. They're still like LOTRO has earned our love. It's an active game.
It is.
Why would we want to crack the player base?
What about letting the audience know? Should we let them know what the server was and kind of what the idea of is behind it?
Well, do you guys know what okay, I guess let's talk about what a private server is. A private server is basically when fans or a group of, non-professional developers or something create a server in, most of the time it's in a location that they cannot track them down. They can't shut them down or anything. So they give you things for free. Oftentimes they, charge you for some stuff if they're trying to make some money or that type of thing. So it is a non-official server that is at this point being they're trying to get shut down. So by they, I mean Standing Stone Games. I mean the Tolkien estate and everything.
Yeah, Middle Earth Enterprises. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was you remember Nostalrius for World of Warcraft before Classic? There was like the massive, what the game was at Vanilla. There is one called Echoes of Angmar that is supposedly going to be coming out, and it aims to be the very first like release of Lord of the Rings Online. So a purely vanilla, nothing else in it. Release of Lord of the Rings Online. So, which is a fascinating thing, and people were pretty excited about it. And then LOTRO and Middle Earth Enterprises, who's they run the Tolkien estate, sent a cease and desist letter to these people because, of course, this is still an active game. It's not like I know that like EverQuest 2, there are some other games, maybe even Star Wars Galaxies. They're dead games officially, but there are still private servers kind of carrying on the legacy. Sure. This was one that attempted to make a vanilla version of a game that already exists, and so yeah. There's been a lot of ups and downs, controversy around it. Have you heard any response from that? Weird, like how the audience is feeling? Because I know I polled my audience on how they were feeling. It was just it was interesting to see kind of how people were thinking about it.
The talk on Reddit, most of the diehards are very much against it. However, there are, I'd say, 20-25% that are all for it.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, I did a lot of my audience, and we just kind of, when it came to the private server, it was kind of like, we would love the private server to be a thing because it'd be a cool place to bring all the LOTRO players that love the old game and just play for a couple weeks with all of them, level up to 50, and it would just be a great experience. But as far as, when you're taking active players away from a game that's kind of desperate for cash and needs that player base, I can understand why they had to take the steps they did. But we'll see. I think their servers are based in Kyrgyzstan or something like that. So I don't know what a cease and desist letter is going to do to them. I think it could still totally come out. It's due out within the next, for like open beta within the next like month or so. So we'll have to see what happens.
I feel like this.
Oh, the 18th of August.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's play.
I feel like this game is so big though that when it comes to a private server, like maybe you're getting stuff for free, maybe your ping is going to be a bit better depending on where you live, but like you're not really getting this.
Probably not. They have to pay for their servers,
True, but think about it. The servers are in the EU, so maybe for EU players, this private server is going to be better for them.
and I think it depends on where you live and obviously what kind of servers they are. But at the end of the day, you're not really playing an MMORPG. Like, sure, there will be other people playing, but not at the scale that the official servers have. And I think, at least for me, like, I got to be able to be running around the Lone Lands, and I see 2 hobbits run right up next to me when I'm turning in a quest to Radagast. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. We're not even saying anything, but I know these are actual people, and they disappeared. They're going somewhere. And so I feel like a private server like that, those experiences, they're just going to be less because there's less people on them. So
maybe
LOTRO is so huge.
Exactly.
Like the map is so huge. Like I cannot imagine there being more than 5,000 players on at the same time. I don't think you would want to be playing by yourself. And it's so massive. Like you may run into one person, especially at the beginning. You'll run into people because everybody will be at the same place. But I've played a lot of those things at launch, and it's always a blast. It's always a blast at first, but then you remember too, you're investing in a game that you don't know who these people are. You don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? True. You're investing your time, which is valuable. I know you're playing a game or everything, but if you're building something that could be gone next month. Say they don't get enough cash to fund their servers, or if they can't do it, like that'll be gone. If they get frustrated with each other, or if the player base revolts against the devs, it happens all of the time, and they're like, okay, can't continue. So your month and a half invested in the game is now kaput. So, which is French for you're effed.
or German for broken, kaput, which is
there you go.
Very nice. I like it.
Is that a real thing?
It is.
Is that what kaput means?
Kaput means broken.
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so I was actually using that in the proper application. Just it wasn't working in my brain. So
I want to ask you guys, when it comes to Lord of the Rings Online, I think obviously this is the highlight for this podcast, but do you guys find yourself playing other games? I know Brightlife, you mentioned that you were playing WoW just the other day, but are there other MMOs that maybe you're jumping into these games and you're like, oh wow, I miss this aspect of Lord of the Rings, I wish this MMO had, or maybe this MMO has some system that I think Lord of the Rings should have?
Oh, great question. That's a great question. So what other MMOs do we play, and then what would we want to take from those MMOs over here?
Or do you want to take maybe something they don't have that Lord of the Rings has?
We created our own private server and built it exactly the way we wanted. How would you do it?
then we got it shut down, man. That's a great question. Well, I play World of Warcraft as my other game that I play right now. I do Final Fantasy 14, and then I've said this for a while. I think Guild Wars 2 is one of the most important MMOs, even if I don't play it quite as often, just because of its monetization model. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's fascinating that they literally don't charge you a monthly fee, and they never will, and it's just a cash shop. Like their whole goal in Guild Wars 2 is literally to get you to come in to buy cosmetics, and the only way they're going to get you to do that is if their game is good enough to keep you around, which I think is so awesome. I think that's so cool. I would love to see something like that in LOTRO. I would like to see the model shift even more that direction, but I understand why not. I mean, I think Guild Wars 2 has an active monthly user base of around 330,000 people. I think LOTRO is probably somewhere in the 50 to 60,000, I'm sure, like even just once a day logons or once a month logons kind of thing. But those are the ones that I play. What about you, Weird? I know that you got the adventure games going.
Oh, yeah. Well, I won't cover that too much. I definitely play adventure games, point and click adventure games. That's how my channel started. I own a popular website that covers adventure games. But in regards to MMOs, yeah, I play other games. I still play, I mentioned private servers, play Star Wars Galaxies private servers, probably once a month or something. Go and check in.
Awesome.
I play Turtle WoW, which is a private World of Warcraft classic server with some modifications, some adjustments, if you will. Let's see. Those are what I'm actively playing, if you could call that active. So, in regards to what I would like to see brought into Lord of the Rings Online, I would really, really love to have a real, not PvMP, but a real PvP experience. I'm a huge PvP player. Like, I adore it. And so if they could bring that, even if it's just a zone that if you enter into there, you're flagged or something like that. I know it kills the lore. I know it does that. If we can just find some way to get that in there, it would be great. I don't see how they could do it with the lore, but that's what I would want to bring in.
Yeah, I think for me, as I look to other games, I love, and this is probably for like a LOTRO 2, if there ever was one, I love having two factions that you can level through. I think that's one of the coolest things I think it's one of the reasons World of Warcraft got so successful, to be honest with you, because the Horde versus Alliance thing was such a cool idea. I would love to see a fully fleshed out monster player campaign and a fully fleshed out Free People's campaign one day, where you could, level up from 1 to max as an orc, and you could fight. That would be just unbelievable. I don't think that's realistic, of course, for this game right now, but that's something I'd love. But I think that to me, one of the things that I've thought would be so cool for Lord of the Rings Online would be kind of what Weird said, which is that PvP experience being a lot more revamped. I think it's a great game. That the PvMP experience, just I've been decently critical of it recently. They're really trying to make some good fixes for it, but it's just not the greatest system right now. It's very balanced in, like basically one class on the free player side, if you're max level, will dominate everything else, and it's just kind of a meme at this point for how good the champions do it at max level in the PvMP space. So I'd love to see a little bit of balancing on that one. But I do love how Lord of the Rings is copying World of Warcraft. They're bringing in like a Mythic Plus system where when you go on missions, you can put a little keystone in, and it'll up level that dungeon and give you better rewards. I think it's brilliant. Steal away from other MMOs if you're an MMO developer, because that's how you make your game better. And so so go ahead.
Unless you're some of these games that tried to copy World of Warcraft to their own detriment, so that they actually completely harmed their own game and changed the aspects of them that they had a built-in player base. But LOTRO is World of Warcraft. It just is. Like it's the same. It's the same. It's built the same way. Like if you're playing wise, but it is completely different in the way that you play it. So they bring in all of that. Can I actually ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, is it LOTRO? Is it LOTRO? Like what? What the heck? Like so, I say LOTRO. All right, and there's some people that get pissed, like that I say LOTRO. I'm sorry, I must have been passed out when they were passing out their copy of the rule book, their acronym rule book. Like, I see LOTRO and I say LOTRO. It's not LOTRO, is it? I mean, does it matter?
I think
it does matter.
We should definitely cement this here and now. This is why I actually had this podcast. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna be the noob of the group. But every time me and my friends wanted to play it, we would say LOTRO is what we would say. Brightlife, what about you?
If you go to Google Translate right now and you type in the English LOTRO, it says LOTRO. So I mean, our overlord Google says, and I who am I to argue?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's LOTRO. It's solved here. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. There are some people that legitimately get angry. They will go on my videos just to say LOTRO. LOT, then lowercase RO. Like, where was that? Where is that in the rule books?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
And if it is, I'm gonna go full Germany and burn that book because I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, oh man.
I will say though that at least my experience with the community, dropping into Twitch streams. Today, I posted my Gandalf character on Reddit. I'm like, I'm just playing the game again. Like, I'm back in Middle Earth. And
that was you? I saw that.
That was me. Yeah, and people were really nice. They're like, oh, cool, welcome back. And
well, that was me. I definitely welcomed you back.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like the community for LOTRO is very positive. Brightlife, you started playing the game, started playing it again 3 months ago. It sounds like you have a good community thus far. What do you think about the LOTRO community?
I'm blown away. And by the way, dude, well done on that post. Holy cow.
Thank you.
You're like top of the LOTRO for the last week in just one day. That's incredible. But no, I think that, the community here is insane. I mean, I've talked a lot about it in some review videos. I think that the number one thing that you'll notice about Lord of the Rings Online is when you slow down, the story is phenomenal. The world building is unbelievable. But the thing that you'll notice second is just how kind the community is. I think there was this really cool thing that happened, and it's a kind of this weird golden age of LOTRO right now where the game was massive. People loved it, but people love Lord of the Rings, and then it got really small, and now it's starting to build back up to this healthy size, and I think now it is decently healthy, but there's still that like scrappy, we're the smaller MMO vibe on the game where everybody's trying to welcome you in and stuff like that. And so I think that's a really interesting thing. Again, I'm all about like MMO culture and I love this stuff. But it's been over the top kind. I mean, just having people pop onto my stream and over again just give great advice and talk and have fun. And I've grouped up with my stream friends before. And I mean, even the craziest stuff, I'm sure Weird gets this too. But like when you go to play the game, you'll see someone run by you and they'll be like, "Oh, dude, I love your videos." Like it's just one of those cool communities. And I really enjoy that aspect of it. I think that this one and like Final Fantasy 14 probably both have the friendliest communities, but this one being a lot smaller is a lot more intentional about getting to know you. And so I think it's a really cool experience.
The LOTRO community is unequivocally the kindest community that I have seen. And I say unequivocally as if it's a fact. It's my fact that I have seen. I mean, it is just beautiful people. They're beautiful people. You got to think the demographic for Lord of the Rings is a lot different than the demographic for Star Wars, The Old Republic, or it is for World of Warcraft. So we're talking like a lot of these people are 50 years old, like people who enjoy gardening. These are nice people. And if you are actually bringing something to their game, they will welcome you in the game. How often are you just turning into quests? You mentioned you saw a couple people turning into quests. I bet you they waved at you, right?
I actually
if they didn't, you tell me their names. I'm gonna go get them.
I did this yesterday. I did the two hobbits walked up. I think I'd have it on recording. You know what? I'll put it in my video for tomorrow. I tried waving at them. Like I did /wave just to see if they recognized me. But I feel like this game specifically, I actually, last year, I believe, sometime, I started a stream and was like, I'm just jumping back into Lord of the Rings for 2 hours. Let's see how it is. The kind of like once in a blue moon. And when I logged in, people came up and they saw I was streaming, and they took out their instruments. They're like, "Oh yeah, we do concerts every week." I'm like,
"That's the coolest thing."
What? Yeah. What kind of MMOs have that? I think that's so freaking cool that you can every Friday come. There's a virtual concert in game. I'm like, isn't this game like over 15, 16 years old? That's okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely come.
And your post is the perfect example of that community. Case in point, you say Reddit is cancer. Reddit is the worst group of people collectively together.
Just what about Twitter, man?
Hateful children. No, Reddit is a different type of animal. Like just children. Not the LOTRO Reddit. I mean, these are good people, like legit good people.
They're really good people.
And it makes people like us who want to go, we want people to appreciate what we're doing. We don't want to get people like, yeah, well, you clicked your buttons. Like, well, yeah, I mean, it was a number 7 on my keyboard. I clicked my button, like that's what you get in some of the other games. Like, they're just beautiful people enjoying a beautiful game.
Yeah,
Bravo.
And I think that as a content creator, we have to respect that because, you come in, and I've learned this the hard way. You come in as a content creator very critical, and you kind of want to tear down the things that you see about the game that aren't good. But in reality, there's this weird otherworldly beauty behind this game, and it's this community that has genuinely banded together over the last 15 years. So many of them playing for the last decade, and this is their Tolkien world, right? And I think that I've learned to be a lot more careful as a creator, not to point out the things that aren't good about the game, because you have to, but to always appreciate the fact that there are individuals that I don't know. Maybe there are other games like this, but the passion that these individuals have for this game, and the desire that they have to welcome you into it, is a really cool thing that I don't think should be overlooked. I've met some really cool people in WoW. I've met really great people in Final Fantasy. I think I've met cool people in every one. But like, I've met people in this game that as I go over to WoW, they come with me and play with me, right? And they're like super accepting of it. I don't see that inverse very often. And so I think that's a really cool thing about this game for sure. It's a beautiful thing.
One thing that Final Fantasy, WoW, Guild Wars 2, Star Wars: The Old Republic. Okay, maybe let's throw out Star Wars in my example. But this MMORPG, Lord of the Rings, they got books, they got movies behind it. So me, who really appreciates film and has studied it back in the day, I have to ask the question to both of you. Where do you stand when it comes to the books, the films? I'm talking Lord of the Rings, the 3 movies. I'm talking the 3 Hobbit films. Like, which ones you like, which ones you dislike. What is the best book? Have you read all the books? I really want to get my hands dirty and find out what you guys think about it.
How long do we have?
I'm ready for it.
I'm a diehard Lord of the Rings nerd. Like I love these books. I've read them. I read them when I was 10 the first time, and I think I reread them once a year. Huge fan of the books. I think they're. I'll go so far as to say I'm reading Beowulf right now, so I'm holding out judgment for that one. But I think it's one of the best pieces of Western literature in the world. I really do. I think that Tolkien defined, or the professor defined, the fantasy genre. He really did, and there's a reason that this game has so many passionate fans, and it's all based on those 3 books back there. I mean, that's what's crazy about it. And I loved the films too. I mean, I fell in love with the films first. I don't like when people trash on the films just because, I mean, Peter Jackson had to make that like one of the single greatest pieces of literature into a film that was palatable for everybody, and he did. He did a great job. I am one of those nervously excited about the show, but just very nervous because I love the show, and I love the books, and already I'm kind of nervous by what I see some of it. But I'm a diehard fan, and I would say for those that are like me that love reading the books, that love getting lost in the world of Lord of the Rings, this is one of the best MMOs for you because it's the best way to go to Middle Earth without paying for a plane ticket. It really is, and I've really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm a huge nerd. Sorry to jump in first, but
I actually respect that. It's very eloquently spoken, and I can't top that in any way, shape, or form. But I will add to it. Yes, I've read all the books, and I have read some of the books that come out. So, Chris Tolkien, have you read any of any? Okay, so you've read. I'm a huge reader, so read the books. I love the movies as well. Not so much, if you're truly asking our opinions, not so much the Hobbit ones. It maybe just because I was in a different place in life. Like I had a lot of things going about in my life. Now, the things that I truly love that has a huge piece of nostalgic place in my heart is the cartoon movies from the 78 through 82 or something. Yes. So when I was a child, my mom put those on, and I had those on in the background before I could even read, that type of thing. So I grew to appreciate it back then. So those, I'll legitimately put those on in the background while I'm playing the games because they meld to the graphical look, have it on in the.
Wow.
It's really cool, dude. Super cool. So those are truly magical to use a Lord of the Rings thing. Oh, you haven't done that, dude?
No, I've never seen them. Okay,
what?
I'm gonna do it. No, I've never seen them. That's amazing. I got to try that out, man.
Okay, yeah, dude, you got to do it now. As an adult, they're children. They're made for children,
sure.
But as an adult, you're gonna watch them, and they're super dark, and you can still enjoy them as an adult. Yeah, and they're very, very, very close to the books too, and so which is respect in that regard. You know what? The movies are fun. That's I think that's the best description for them. Yeah. Are they great? They're a piece of art. They're a piece of art, and I respect them. They're truly fun, and they make you feel something. More so, which you can't say that too many times, in many aspects, more so than the books. And so if you could ever say that about a movie, if it makes you feel something more than it does in a book, then you got to watch them. So
True.
It sounds like, though, I look over at the 3 books that I have, and luckily at the end of The Hobbit that I didn't have these 3 books, but at the end of The Hobbit that I was reading, they included the first chapter of Fellowship, and without any hesitancy, I jumped straight into that chapter and was hoping I could have the next book, but it sounds like the books are top tier. There's not one book that's a bit stale, not so exciting. It sounds like Tolkien has really got you guys hit your attention with it, and I'm just wondering, someone who I will read the books, but I'm curious, is there a favorite one or?
Oh no, make no mistake. They are slow. the books are slow, but you don't even realize it. You don't realize that he does a wonderful job of building a world without actually seeing something, because you can feel that you have an aura to the way he writes. And so like they're all going to have a level of slowness, but it not we're trained in this world to just have everything immediately. Give me something, give me an action scene all of the time, or anything like that. If that's the type of person that you are, you might not like them. You know what I mean? But if you can appreciate and actually try to look for symbolism, if you try to look for like mirror aspects of what he's trying to say here, and truly read that and live that while you're inside that book, then there's nothing wrong with any of them. I love them all. And to say you've one better than the other, I can't do that. So
True.
Nope,
Yeah.
true. Double true. That's true to the second power.
I'm with you. I don't think there's a book that I don't like. I think that there are parts of the book that I like more as I get older. When I first was a kid, I think that Return of the King was just so great, right? It's all the big battles. It's the culmination of everything. However, I will say, for now, I think kind of, again, being a little bit older, being a dad, I love Fellowship. Even just the beginning of it, the description of the Shire, just what, like, the world building of it, I appreciate a lot more. But dude, I think you're gonna love it. I'm jealous that you've never read them before, and now you get to read them. It's kind of like one of those things where if I could forget a book and then read them for the first time again, I would choose Lord of the Rings every time.
Well, I had them sitting on my bookshelf when I was a teenager. Like, they were always there, and it was always like I'd read a chapter or so, but it was nothing concrete that I went all the way through. It's the same thing with The Hobbit back in the day. Like, I had The Hobbit and I was reading it up to a point, and then I don't know why. I just like put the book down and didn't get to it. So, it was more distracted with video games and school, hanging out with friends and stuff like that. But
that's what I'm talking about. And you know what? I respect that and I understand that. As we get older, our lives slow down a little bit, or maybe we want them to. And that's why I read a book anyways, because, stuff is so fast. My life, like, I don't have downtime. When I do, have some downtime, like, I want to go somewhere else that's not my life, like, I don't mind taking the slow stroll, so there you go.
True.
I think that relates to at least your guys' love for the game itself, because I've played other MMORPGs. The combat in other games, they're super fast. There's you always have to be like, I got to be dodging right now. Like, if I don't dodge, I'm gonna get completely thrown out the window. But
right. Have you played Elden Ring?
Elden Ring? Oh. No, it's like Dark Souls, dude. Or
I am terrible. I'm
so bad.
Terrible. Like, embarrassingly bad at like that. Thank God I don't have to be like that in LOTRO. Oh man.
I think there's such a good place for the combat in like Guild Wars, where it's like that dodging mechanic. It's very active. It's very in your face. This one's a lot more methodical, but again, the best advice I give to new players is when you approach this world, read the quest text and just enjoy it. Like, really, it's kind of like drinking a glass of fine wine. It's like, if you just pound that thing, you're going to miss 95% of what makes that thing good. But if you can, but World of Warcraft is like snorting crack. I mean, just get it done and it'll energize you. But really, this one is just sit back by the fireplace and enjoy the game. It really, really is fun. You know what I'm talking about, Weird. He gets it.
That's such a funny analogy. Like, yeah, I totally get that, but I'm thinking about it for different reasons, man.
Okay.
Yeah, like, you down that wine real quick, man. You're gonna be feeling it the next day.
Yeah, it's true enough. True enough, man.
Any character in Lord of the Rings, I think I cross paths with Tom Bombadil. I cross paths, and you can just see the animation. I'm like, wow, this is the devs put some time into this character.
But he has not read the books yet. Weird. No, Weird.
They have to.
Weird.
Okay.
He hasn't read the books yet. Okay. He doesn't know who he is. We gotta let him have that one.
But I did see this character. I'm like, this one popped out. Interesting. And so I thought a quick question for you guys. Let's just say you're in Middle Earth, okay? Yeah. One character you can share lunch with, have a quick smoke break. What would that one character be?
See, is it lunch or a smoke break? That's the question.
I think it's a combo. I think you're having a good food, and then afterwards the pipes come out. You know.
Okay. Oh, that kind of smoke break. Okay, cool. Yeah. Just a pipe smoke break, because I mean, I'm just saying there's different. Me and my community on Twitch have talked about this a lot. We talk about who would you go to dinner with, who would you go on an adventure with, who would you grab a smoke break with. It's all over the place. Weird. Do you have anybody?
That is such a good question, and I'm truly stumped. Like, I'm thinking I'm gonna need a couple minutes to think about that. So,
Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Can I go for it? Okay, I've got way too many answers because I've asked this question of my audience way too many times. Okay,
I'm ready.
Lunch. If you're going lunch, you're gonna go.
We're gonna go every meal.
No, I'm not kidding. You watch. Breakfast. You're hanging out with like Legolas or Gimli. Okay, they've got some good stuff to talk about, but it's an early morning. It's easy. They're gonna talk about their fun stuff that they've done together. Lunch. You're hanging out with the hobbits. Okay, you're hanging out with Sam and Mary because they're gonna make a great lunch for you, and you're just gonna have a beer afterwards. It's gonna be awesome. And if you're going dinner, you're going Gandalf or Tom Bombadil because you want to talk deep. You want to talk late into the night. You want to really have some good times together. Yeah, we haven't talked about this enough on my stream. So yeah, I've got an answer for all of them. And the smoke break, you want to go Pippin just because obviously you're gonna have a great time.
Oh, and what about adventure? You mentioned adventure. Who would you go on an adventure with?
Oh, we decided that it would be fun to go on adventure. Actually, off the top of our heads, we thought it'd be really fun to go on adventure with. This sounds weird, but like either one of the Nazgul or Sauron.
Interesting.
Because they would have. I know it's weird, but they have such a unique perspective on the world. They're extraordinarily powerful. They're going to defend you from anything. But if you could be around them without getting totally corrupted, and like you could learn from them, like that, the fireside sits with one of the dark lords of the world and seeing how he thought would be very, very fascinating. There you go. Super weird answers, but those are what we would say.
Loved it.
I think I relate to Pippin more, which means I wouldn't like him. And now he seems like the type of guy who I'd enjoy to hang out with for like an hour. But anything else after that would be in like, yeah, I'm good at this point. I'm just gonna, gosh, yeah, maybe Bilbo Baggins.
Ooh,
like maybe Bilbo Baggins, because like he's got a lot of experience. He's not just stuck in the Shire type of thing, and he's a storyteller. I like to hear some stories. So
now I can kind of jump into this because I've read The Hobbit. I feel like he's kind of a different character when he's in the adventure going through, and of course when he's older. He's a little bit. The book explains that some people say he's odd, kind of thing. He's different when he came back. Is there a certain age range of Bilbo you'd like to hang out with, or you don't care?
Well, that's actually a good question. But he is a curious person naturally, and so certainly not old Bilbo. He's scary, and just. I'm naturally scared of older people, so.
Is it the skin? What is it?
Just kidding. I don't want to see my future. I don't want to look in the. But so I actually have to wind my side of this up because I got to be out of here in like 14 minutes.
Not a problem. We can actually. If
you guys want to keep going,
we can wrap it up real quick. I think any closing remarks about Lord of the Rings in general, the game LOTRO, which we have established, and also for the future, like what kind of videos do you guys have in the pipeline? Are you guys excited for the show? It sounds like any closing remarks, and then we can go ahead and wrap this up.
I'm sorry if I'm forcing you guys to close up shop. Brightlife, you've probably got more in the pipeline than I do, so you go first.
I wish I did. No, I've been having a lot of fun making stuff about LOTRO. For me in the pipeline right now, it's just continuing to stream, trying to do that consistently as consistently as possible. It's been a lot of fun. For me, I've been really getting excited about a couple of things. One, the Rings of Power release and seeing how that affects LOTRO. So I'm really kind of keeping my eyes really close on that one. What LOTRO does as far as some of these big updates and that they're kind of promising to bring out, do they deliver on that? So those are kind of some of the things that I'm really looking at. I am only in Moria. I'm only level 59 right now, so I've still got a lot of game. I got a lot of game to play.
Dude, you got good times coming, man.
Dude, I know. I mean, I just jumped into Lothlorien, actually. I just got out like last night. So anyway, so I'm pumped about that. For me in the pipeline, World of Warcraft is becoming a little bit more of a focus for me, just as Dragonflight's coming out. Wrath of the Lich King is what I started on, so I'm pumped about that one as well. I'll join the throng of people that are excited about those. And then honestly, I'm starting to get more and more excited about Ashes of Creation. I think that could be a game changer, or it could be a total flop. I'm not sure which one yet, but those are kind of my in the pipeline creative pieces. And we're just going to have to see kind of how it all fleshes out. But those are the things for me. As far as last thoughts before we jump off, and then I'll pass it over to Weird. Really, if you're looking for, and you've watched to this point, you're like, should I play Lotro? Should I not? Is the lag going to be that bad? I'd say the cool thing is it's a free game. You give it a try. It's got a really passionate community. People love this world. And if you like Lord of the Rings in any way, I really do think you should give it a shot. Get yourself past level 15 or 20. Again, if you're looking for a great community, you can join my Discord. Check with Weird. Weird, do you have a Discord as well for the game? Yeah, so join Weird's as well. Or I'm sure, Moo, you're going to have one as well. But anyway, join a community. Really, really great place to be. I would recommend anybody give it a shot. And yeah, that's kind of how it ended up for me.
Great.
In regards to me, what I have in the pipeline, I don't have too much going, not much in the hopper right now. I do have a video series I'm doing comparing Lotro locations to locations in the movies. Some visuals, and those are super fun. I am actually a moderator for the adventure game panel over at PAX West this year, and so I've got, this has taken up like all of my time, like getting all of this stuff going. So not much going on there aside from the one video that I have in the hopper. My future, haven't thought that far.
On,
but I would like on closing statements. I guess I just wanted to Brightlife let you know that my wife says hello. You know.
He made a video about me that my wife and I were watching, and then at the very end of the video, I'm like laughing, we're crying, and at the end of the video, he's like, even my wife thinks he's gorgeous, and my wife just looks over at me like, I was like, oh my God.
Dude, and my wife's hot. Like she's a legit, she's a legit dime piece. So I'm like, how, do you know him? Because I'm so.
She seems like a nice lady, man. She got great opinions.
Guys,
oh man,
thank you.
See, the community really is fun, man. It's a great community to be a part of.
Honestly, we're so laid back. We just put our legs up. That's how cool this community is.
Exactly. Like, I really enjoyed the vibes on today's podcast. Brightlife and Weird, thank you so much for spending time with me, Gandalf, talking about Lord of the Rings and Lotro. I'm really looking forward to playing the game all the way through, hitting that level 100. Again, I'm just getting started. I'm in Lone Lands. I'm level 26, but we got places to go. And I'm definitely going to be taking my time playing the game while reading the books in my free time. So, yeah, it was great talking with you guys. Thank you again for making time in your busy schedules. And who knows? I'd love to do another episode in the future. Maybe we can talk about Endgame, and maybe the show is out by then, and we can discuss a little bit about Rings of Power when that comes around. Yes. So, thank you guys again. And as I always end my videos, I'll do it in the Gandalf accent. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay hydrated, gamers.